When we talk about prediction, I think it's a really difficult task. We can't really predict what's going to happen in the future. But I think this topic is something where a lot of prediction will happen, and I'm sure you all will be very happy to know all the predictions. As far as content on TV is considered, I'm confident that everybody, they love their dose of entertainment in life, don't they? Over the years, TV and marketing have both gone hand in hand, and henceforth, whenever they blend, it only makes it more difficult to predict what's in store for us. Moving forward, may I please call upon stage Arpit Jain, Assistant VP Marketing, UA for Movies India, Marketing and E-Commerce, Blue Star.
Diverse panel with us, three marketeers, one broadcasters, and very big agency guy, Karthik with us. So is television dying? Straight up, a very intimidating one. Is the growth of linear television hitting the wall? Why I'm saying this is because I'm a 90s guy. Born in an era where fond memories of watching Ramayan, Mahabharat, Cricket World Cup, reality shows, KBCs, watching with family. Because TV is no longer a social phenomenon, a family phenomenon. We all are glued into our screens. That one screen became 2 screen, 3 screen, and 4 screen. So that's what we are here to discuss today. And I'm going to immediately start up with Punit, because you have so-called developed, rather echoed a colloquial lingo called mutual fund sahi hai. So kya television sahi hai?
Television in the old Bollywood style, sahi tha, sahi hai, sahi rahega for a long, long time to come, I think. So while viewing has moved to different screens, the format, the large screen format in your home still has the impact that you want, right? So in my view, TV will continue for some more time. We've seen that whenever you want to create an impact, especially for us, as a financial brand who wanted to create that trust, that credibility, linear TV has helped us a lot. Right? That impact, that visibility that you get when you run on a regular TV channel, the kind of recall that you get, the kind of stories that you hear after your campaign. Connected TV, digital, still has some time to catch up.
Very interesting point. So you're saying TV brings trust, TV brings validation, no matter what category you belong to. Agar TV plan mein hai,
yeah, I mean, that's an established fact, right? That if you want to appear as a credible brand, you have to be present on TV and for a long time. That's what we've done. That's what's working for us.
All right. Amit, you've been a mass brand. You've been lightening our house with Syska LED bulbs. Very fast-moving electrical goods, and on the personal care side also. What makes TV relevant? Is TV relevant for you, and what makes it more relevant? And will you continue to use that?
Sure, Arpit. So I think it's no more a secret that Syska as a brand sort of loves TV, and I think we have been reaching out to the masses, I think, from last 8 to 9 years now, and I think it's been a long journey. So much so that Irfan Khan is equal to Syska is equal to LED. I think that's the kind of equation we have been managed to establish in the Indian market right now. Having said that, I think you started the session, that you are from 90s, right? तो बड़ी अंकल जी वाली फीलिंग आती है जब 90s की बात सुनते हैं, at least personally to me. But I think, but I'm blessed to be a part of the 90s because I think we have seen the entire transition happening right in front of our eyes, and for all the right reasons, I think, So yes, I want to just say that, while TV is an important aspect of my media planning broadly, but at the same time, this age-old notion of 70-20-10, मतलब किसी भी marketing manager को पूछो कि भाई आपका budget किस तरह से divide किया है, तो the answer used to be 70-20-10, ATL, BTL, थोड़ा बचा digital. I think that's kind of getting challenged very slowly and gradually, and I think it is important for us to embrace it, in its entirety and look at, the newer possibilities which are coming along with TV. So I think I'm not here to debate versus, that TV versus digital. It is TV and digital. So I think that's my opening remark.
So TV continues to stay relevant for you?
Yes, definitely, because if it is about LED as a category, or we entered into other categories like fans, wires and cables, we know that the audience that we want to reach out to is fundamentally consuming TV, and more so within TV, it is news genre for us, right? But at the same time, the brand has also ventured into new categories like grooming appliances and wearables and hearables and smart home products, and the list continues. Now, for these kind of new age categories, the customer journey is, whether you want to like it or you don't like it, is predominantly online. So I think that's where we keep a small divide, that okay, for the new categories we'll continue to consume digital more than TV, but for the mainstream offline channels we'll continue to use TV more than digital. I think that's how we approach the scene. That's
great. Interestingly, last night Group M released some data points, a report basically, which says out of the 1 lakh ADEX, which TV and digital stands at par, TV is growing about 15%, television is growing about 30%, so digital is about to surpass TV in India, which has already happened in the US. So how do you see this, Karthik, shaping up in our country?
Okay, so let me answer that by probably saying three different points, right? One, of course, is what you said. It's a very important year. For the first time, digital will be on par or bigger than television in the country, which is a great moment for everyone, right? Second thing is, I don't think this is a zero-sum game, isn't it? I think, so I'll take the example of my mom. She watches certain shows on TV, and she continues to watch them. It's just that she doesn't watch them when they're being aired. She catches up on the respective OTT app, right?
CTV? So she catches up on the CTV, connected TV devices?
Yeah, she catches up on the app. So okay. She's watching Sun TV, she'll watch it on Sun Next. She's watching Z, she'll watch it on Z5, right? The point is, the content is not changing. She just moved from appointment to something that is much more convenient for her, which is on demand, right? So I think that is essentially the big change that is happening. So to me, Jon Stewart is on Apple TV. Okay, he's doing the same show that he used to do 10 years back, right? A similar show. Now people consume it. Previously, we used to dial in at a certain point in time to listen to the daily show. Now we just consume it on Apple TV, right? So the protagonist, the content, much of it has not really changed. It's just the way we consume it has changed. So I don't really see it as a zero-sum game. It's not really, we've abandoned one and moved to another. It is more of an evolution of how content will be consumed. And there is no doubt that going forward, outside sports and news, most content will be eventually on demand. It will not be appointment viewing, right? So that's where I see it.
Interesting, very interesting. You have a slightly mature brand. The TG is also very mature for Blue Star. How do you, sort this dilemma when digital taking the lead and the sort of a FOMO happening in the market?
Yeah, so for a brand like Blue Star and for air conditioners, of course, the penetration is just in single digits even now, right? And you'd assume that digital should be the preferred channel, because obviously your TG is not really mass. It's quite niche even now as compared to maybe LEDs, like you mentioned. But I completely agree with Karthik that to begin with, I don't think there's any option a marketer has apart from television for building a brand. right? Other media, if you just analyze, you're talking of print, you're talking of outdoor, radio, etc. At best, we'd see them as reminder mediums. To build a brand, you need television, okay? Now, I agree with Karthik that television content has just moved onto OTT. OTT is nothing but digitized television, according to me. And according to me, the OTT spends that we are counting on digital should be added to TV. It should not be seen separately, because when you're looking at OTT, OTT cannot do your performance marketing, right? It's not really great there. OTT is also building your brand, and it's for broadcasters to graduate into this, common mix of live television, which is, maybe appointment viewing versus OTT, like you mentioned, like your mother catches up, on this platform, on the OTT platforms. So the way I look at it is that television has just graduated from live televisions to digital. Okay, OTT. OTT should ideally be counted in television spends and not be treated as digital spends. And that's when we'll get the real picture. Because right now, like you rightly mentioned, AdX is supposedly 37%, digital is going to surpass television for the first time in the history of the country. But we haven't really analyzed that within digital, how much money is being invested on OTT. I mean, there's a lot of money going on Hotstar, right? With the IPL and other things. All that should be counted in television. It's just you're giving a consumer an alternate device to watch the same content. So why would you actually differentiate between the two? The two coexist, and finally content is the king. And appointment viewing still exists. I don't know how many of you guys, watch, I'm a pretty big fan of Hotstar. And, there are these HBO Max shows, and there's a series going on called White Lotus, okay, which I wait every Monday to watch. In the days of binge watching on Netflix, etc., the content is so strong that I wait every Monday to, unleash it on OTT. Okay? So according to me, I don't think we're discussing television being dead, going to digital. It's the same thing. It's just that performance marketing cannot happen, on OTT. OTT is great for brand building. And television is great for brand building, right? There's no other medium for a marketer to build your brand, honestly.
Two interesting two takeaways. One from Karthik is, it's all about a matter of convenience versus comfort with regards to television versus OTT, and it's the content which is eventually driving, even on television, like you mentioned, Hotstar, or be it cricketing properties, or reality shows like Big Boss, Pavitra just mentioned in the earlier session, that has been really driving the audiences. And that will continue to, stay relevant in future as well. Moving on to the content side of it, Vivek, how do you see this shaping up, and is branded content the way forward?
See, from where we look at, first of all, content is actually quite independent of platform, right? So we keep on talking about these things about, is television the right medium for platform, or is digital the way to go forward? From where we look at it, both of these are fabulous mediums. When we create a content, we don't keep platform into mind, we keep consumer into mind. And if that consumer actually consumes television more than OTT, then so be it. And I just feel that the platform as television is a fabulous combination of reach and engagement both put together. And you will figure out some places social media will probably give you higher reach but lower engagement. OTTs will give you higher engagement but lower reach. Television is still that beautiful sweet spot in between, where you want to create something which you really want people to consume at a deeper level, create a meaningful impact, and you want large scale people, large number of people to kind of watch it. Television is still that particular platforms. In real nitty-gritties of work today, for example, when we craft large scale, large size, large budgeted content pieces, the first discussion starts from, all right, which channel is it going to go to? Because not only is television giving you reach, it also gives you a bit of assured reach by the linear nature that it has. See, OTT will always give you choice, right? But discoverability in OTT is always a challenge. I mean, the great series of Netflix that you and me have not watched, but the mere fashion of how linear works, it does give you a certain amount of assured viewership, which probably an OTT doesn't. So therefore, whenever we talk about content pieces, TV therefore remains an important part, especially in the last places. So for us, I don't see, for me, from where we are, from the broadcaster side on the branded content side, one channel kind of doing over the other. Our natural blend today is when we create content is to let that distribute both through linear television and through OTT, and people consume it at their personal charges. So for us, television is relevant, it is mass, and it will stay relevant for a very long time.
Just to add to that, India is, having said that, 70% Bharat today. And the growth going to come from the bottom of the pyramid. So, do you see, Karthik, that being adding value to this?
Sorry, what adding value to this?
When we counter television with regards to the threats, so-called threat, be it OTT, digital and all. So today India is 70% Bharat, as you know. I see this as an opportunity, with regards to television, yeah.
I think that is true for all kinds of content. Like he just mentioned, that trend is agnostic to platforms, right? Today, even gaming, if you see the kind of conversations on live esports, a majority of it is in regional language. If you're dialing in and then listening to what people are talking, right? If you see the kind of content that is being consumed on social media, it is there, right? We've saturated the English-speaking audience on digital probably half a decade back, right? So now every growth will be on that area. But I think what OTT does, which television probably in a way struggled to do, is to have many more voices sort of come to the fore, right? So today you are able to create a large volume of content, irrespective of what slots exist for a channel, which is finite in nature. We're able to create large volumes of content, lots of voices are being heard. The cultural diversity is at its peak right now, and we're just starting out, right? We're a very, very young OTT country, right? So in 5-6 years from now, it'll be an extraordinary form of expression. I feel that's going to change, and a lot of that is going to be in regional languages.
Yeah, so the power regional is very high. That brings the share of voice. Just to give you an example, I come from cinema background. Today, out of the 10,000 crore of box office predicted collection, 60% has come from down south, purely out of RRR, KGF, Karthik. So that's the power of region with respect to our medium. So certainly this is adding value across mediums. Coming back to Punit, you've done good amount of work with regards to branded content and Ye Meri Family and Timeliners were a perfect seamless integration you have done. Tell us something about that.
Yeah, so for us, the idea with mutual funds is to get mutual funds into daily conversations. So what best other from we thought it would be great to be present into series which were picking up, which were talking to the right kind of audience, the 90s kids that you're mentioning. So Ye Meri Family worked very well for us. Same with Timeliners and the other one that we did, What the Folks. Again, for us it is more about presenting the brand in such a way that it is not too in your face. That's the brief that we give whenever we do branded content. We don't want to be too in your face. We want the message to go subtly and yet create an impact, which I think we were able to do very well with Ye Meri Family. And branded content works, in a very beautiful way that while the show ran on YouTube for some time, then it went on to Netflix with the integrations intact. Again, it is back on either the TVA platform or YouTube, and you keep getting organic views, even after your contract period is over. So that works very well. Even on TV these days, whenever we do large deals, be it KBC or be it Jhalak Dikhla Ja, like we have done, we look for some kind of content integration there, not just an FCD deal, but we make sure that our brand is present in the content somehow, even if it's just a Sahi Hai tag, because that is what people really recall about us these days. So we ensure that either there's a Sahi Hai moment, or with Jhalak we have Sahi Hai Jodi, or there we have in KBC Amitabh Bachchan talking about investing in mutual funds. So content integration is key to us. That helps, like I said earlier, on TV and elsewhere, it helps build credibility.
Sure. I'm going to come back on the percentage of media mix, but you mentioned content integration. So Vivek, how do you ensure you do, from a broadcaster and advertiser's perspective, the seamless integration without compromising on the messaging? How do you ensure that?
Actually, every time I meet people like Punit and, me and Girish were just having a chat about it. You have no idea as a content person how happy we become when a brand comes and tells you, we don't want our brand to be in your face, we want it to be subtle. Because that's the beauty of branded content, right? I mean, sometimes often marketers miss that branded content is still content. The reason that you're creating it because you want it to be consumed. And if it's so much in your face, then it's advertising, right? Then why would somebody consume it beyond 30 minutes, 30 seconds or 60 seconds? So that always remain a narrative. Like I said, when we create content, the pivot is consumer, the brand is the storyteller, right? We don't flip it around because if you flip the narrative, it's an absolute flop. If you start thinking that there's no story, it's just the brand, then it's a commercial, right? So I think the way that we go about doing it, we think of the consumer, we think of the narrative that the brand wants to store, and weave a story around it. And the story has to flow with the brand. And like some of the examples that Punit was just mentioning, like if at top of the mind, if you remember Tripling, right, which I think was a fabulous, branded content piece that TVF created. Tata Tiago was a character in the story. It was not a brand which was just floating around here and there. You take the car out of a road trip, there's just no road trip left. And when there's no road trip left, there is no narrative left. So the intent is to always find the right pivot, which goes seamlessly with the brand narrative and weave a story around it. I think that's the way we kind of try to create, because content, branded content, it's still content.
Very interesting. I mean, and so many films we have seen classical examples, be it Lal Singh Chadda, Gully Boy, for example, True Caller, Bira, beer bottle, Alia smashing the beer bottle on her, the girl flirting with Ranveer Singh, classical integration of JBL, or be it Rupa in Lal Singh Chadda. People actually believed that there is the character exists.
Yeah. I'll just add something to Vivek's point, is that, when we were starting off with Tripling, right, it was originally going to be, probably if we had not done it, it would have probably been a credit card brand, right? The three of them would have gone on, with a credit card, right? And when, the TVF team and then Max's now Waymaker team, they sort of co-created this, it was, like you rightly said, weaved into the story itself. And to Punit's point also, that works. Audience loved that. Because for the first time ever, it was at that point in time the most watched web series in the country. But that was not the thing. The thing is that purchase intent went up so significantly high because it was all on YouTube. We were able to do a brand love study on it. Purchase intent went exceedingly high. For a series to work as the most watched series and also to drive purchase intent to an all-time high, I think that's an extraordinary combination. That can work only if we integrate it the way he said.
Totally.
I wanted to add one more thing from a marketing perspective, okay? Because as a marketer, it's always, I would think, a little risky, especially in a movie, to have branded content, because you really don't know where that movie is going to head and how the brand is going to be placed. I think on television, branded content is much more easier because I think the producers are far more amiable in terms of discussing every nuance of the script to ensure that the brand is propagated in the way. And like I mentioned to you, every brand should not be in your face because, like you rightly mentioned, it's just advertising. It has to be subtle, at the same time very tastefully done. And that's the problem that marketers face because you don't know really. And I've had examples, of the past 2 decades where, there was this movie called Karthik Calling Karthik. Okay, this was in the early 2000s, I think. And, they approached us saying that, my brand value proposition was experts in cooling. And they said there's a Karthik and there's a Karthik calling Karthik. That Karthik is calling an expert. And you can integrate Blue Star as an expert. And when I saw the movie, I didn't go for it. Fortunately, when I saw the movie, he was a schizophrenic, right? He was calling himself. Right now, imagine my brand in that expert communicating expertise, and I have a schizophrenic, analogy being connected to the brand. How risky is it for a marketer? So while branded content is great, but believe you me, from a marketer's perspective, we find it far more difficult because if it's not tastefully done, it can really ruin a lot of the reputation of the brand. I just wanted to add to that.
Very subjective, but Vivek ki to peet pe laat maar denge aapke.
But actually, it's the other one. We were just having a chat, and I said that's where television is different, right? Because when you do in-movie integrations, the biggest challenge is gestation period. Because by the time the movie hits the floor, sometimes it can be 6 months, 12 years. The brand strategy may have changed that. When you put something in our fiction show, it hits in 3 days. maybe 4, which is the fastest content creation that we can do for it. I mean, I'm sure even creating an FCD takes a longer time.
Because television
Nicely done,
producers
man.
are far more
Nicely done.
amiable.
So
They
therefore-
will discuss every nuance
So
of the
we will
script.
stay relevant in that context. Our storyline would not change in more than 4 days.
Great. Coming back to Punit, so what percentage of media mix do you keep between TV and other mediums? If we can have clarity there.
TV and other mediums. Okay, so TV takes away, you know, a large chunk. So in good years it could be 50, other years 45. Then digital is good, and then you have the other reminder mediums like we are present in out of home radio and cinema also. So yeah, so 45, 35, and the rest I would say.
So for you, you think that will continue to stay relevant for you, considering the amount of opportunity you've been scouting on the branded content side and the digital side. So do you think that share of pie going to reduce from television to other mediums?
No, I think as of now we are at a good mix. Earlier when when the brand started the journey about 6 years back almost, TV was a much higher number, right? And then that has tapered down, digital has taken up. So I think right now we are at a good mix, which should continue for the next couple of years unless something radical comes up in digital, and then we shift our budgets more to digital.
Amit, for you, considering Syska being a mass brand, and obviously there is a saying and there is a philosophy in tier 3 and rural belts that agar TV पे देखा तो मतलब reliable है. So is that relevant for you as well?
So you're saying TV is equal to reliability?
Yeah.
Yeah, broadly, because I think that is what that they identify with strongly, I guess, But I was just listening to, some of the conversations that we were having right now from last few minutes. I think whenever we look at tier 2, tier 3, suddenly this conversation of India versus Bharat comes up. I don't know why. Yeah. I think that's so sort of a cliche to me, at least, because I think as a country, we have come like so ahead in terms of our mindset that I think the Indian swag value has increased credibly. I think forget your tier 2 and tier 3, even people who are sitting right now in this room, I will agree that we are also celebrating the Tate Hindi, the core Hindi content like never before. Now, whether it is on TV or whether it is on OTT doesn't matter. So you have so many content pieces which are being dished out, which are actually, created on the premise of some kind of a village or a small town, and people are celebrating that, right? At the core of it, I think what we need to have is a strong conversational value. कोई अगर आपसे पूछता है आके अच्छा वो आपने सीरीज देखा है क्या, एंड ट्रस्ट मी एक प्रेशर आ जाता है कि मैं ना कैसे बोल दूं, बिकॉज द मोमेंट आई फाई से नहीं मैंने नहीं देखा है, you are kind of out of the conversation. अरे ये फिर इसने तो कुछ देखा ही नहीं है.
So OTT is an icebreaker nowadays.
No, I think kind of, because see, understand why people bought color television in the late 80s, because of the fact that we had Ramayana and Mahabharat, right? लोगों ने टेलीविजन इसलिए खरीदा कलर टेलीविजन की मुझे वो कंटेंट एंजॉय करना था. Otherwise, people were very happy, including my own family, कि यार black and white TV में काम चल रहा है मेरा. I don't want a color TV. But suddenly this content came and people were like, नहीं थोड़ा महंगा होगा चलेगा, but we'll buy a color TV. So from that, decade जहाँ पे content was the reason to, buy a color TV, the same content was again celebrated around 2020 during the first lockdown, and people were still talking about it. So I think. I think for me it's more about the content. I think एक बार content सही हो गया है तो फिर consumers भी आ जाएंगे, और consumers है तो फिर मेरे जैसा advertiser पीछा नहीं रहेगा, वो भी आ जाएगा.
Great. I think that is evolving and that will continue to disrupt.
Definitely.
Great. Yeah.
Though I had on the lighter vein a point, like see, I think this TV and credibility happened at a time probably many decades back when people thought you can't say that big a lie on television and get away with it, right? But in the times we live in, I think that's very possible. So I don't think it's that credible anymore.
Oh. Because typically there is some amount of merit in that, especially when you advertise on cricket. right? I've been advertising on IPL since season 1, so 14 years in a row. And we've done a lot of research, and people do believe that if you have the money to advertise on IPL, you must be a good brand, okay? Because you have that kind of money to advertise on cricket. So there is some amount of merit there, somewhat. Of course, not true anymore for other genres. But yeah, if you have the big bucks to spend, you must be a good brand. There was this kind of feeling some time ago.
I think it still hold true because not all can afford TV, and which is when the digital come into picture. Unlike brands like Blue Star or Syska or AMFI, they being the giant in their own space, they always share market leader. So Vivek, is that the solution for those brands to explore branded content or likes of OTT and other mediums?
I wouldn't comment on the budget because I mean, the marketing objective and budget are two different things. I know often the objectives get limited by budgets, but I just feel that as a marketer...
It's a disclaimer always.
It's always a disclaimer. But yeah, the objectives can't dilute because of budgetary restrictions. There are brands who come in... I mean, we have worked with brands who do not have an FCT, but they still want to be in television, right? The easier way to do is, okay, get inside our content. Get inside our shows, because you may not have a visual television FCT per se because you're not so far been a technical part, but we'll bring your brand inside the content. Having said that, the objectives will not change. I mean, you may not want to be in the GRP space for whatever reasons that you may have, but the objective still remains the same. So I wouldn't call the fact that, oh, if you have less budgets, let go to digital, because that's not the right way to do it. The digital has to still fit into your marketing objective model. And I'm wearing a marketer's hat right now. I'm taking the liberty from Punit, Amit and Girish. But it still has to fit into the objective, right? And if the platform does, is when the platform becomes relevant. I mean, I'm not taking away the reality of the fact that all of us are governed by budgets. But in that space, we still try to figure out what platform is relevant or not.
So that has sort of opened up a lot of incremental opportunities for you guys as well. When you say beyond FCT, so I've also observed of late, even in those daily soaps also nowadays, brands have been seamlessly integrated, or the outdoor being shows in the background, or the bus shelter. And so I think that has opened up a lot of avenues for you guys as well.
Which is what I was telling this to Girish. I was saying that when you do movie, there's a gestation period, but when you do fiction integration, there's not. The storyline is so real and so close that even if you, for example, want to capture a subculture, you want to capture something which is topical, you want to do something which is built around festive, that is being shot 5 days before the festive. So that near content to actual release happen through the content creation route. So therefore, that's of course an advantage, and a lot of brands today are making use of it. We've worked with a lot of brands, like from the top of my mind, something we did with, in fact, Karthik's team, we did for Mondelez. They wanted to do something around Rakhi. And it was being celebrated in terms of our show. So we did an integration 4 days before actually the show was going on air, where it was absolutely topical and absolutely relevant. So yes, that can only happen on television. So therefore, from a content point of view, from a branded content point of view, TV remains an absolute relevant because it gives appointment viewing, it gives continuity in content consumption, something which OTT is still kind of catching up on.
So is branded content the way forward?
You're asking a branded content person, you know the answer already. But yeah, there's a lot that which happens in television. I mean, Pavitra, I'm sure, is the master to tell. We are still a very, very small pie in overall Pavitra's colors gamut, but we try to do our bit, and I just see that that still will remain relevant as content as an approach is. FCT, of course, will get you the viewership, and content will get impact, and I think that's the beautiful way to put a grid together for a content marketing objective.
Lovely. So, Punit, we'll see more opportunities on the lines of, timeliners and Ye Meri Family from your side?
Yeah, we are always on the lookout for good web shows, and we've been looking out for something in the regional space, because regional, down south is a huge market. I mean, even on, apart from TV of course it is, but even for digital content and OTTs, we are looking out for a good regional show to be present and to integrate with. Plus, on the regional TV side, we've already done in the past, we worked with Big Boss in a couple of languages, we worked with KBC in one of the southern language, and we've done content integration there. So on the web series side, we are always open.
How about Amit?
Talking about, just add to his point and the question that you asked, is branded content the way forward? Yes, I mean, like you said, of course, yes. I'll just give you an example. My kids, I'm a cord cutter since the last 8 or 9 years, right? So I watch only OTT or YouTube and all of that, and we moved to premium YouTube and all of that. My kids who are 5 years and 10 years old, they don't see an ad, for a long, long time. So
I can relate to you. Yeah.
So for someone like those, that generation which is coming up without any ads, branded content is the way that I will be able to put my, brand forward to them. So going ahead, yes, branded content is going to play an important piece.
I can relate to you. My 5-year-old son, just connected on a CTV with attention span, as you know, of today's generation. And my mom hooked onto her own OTT platforms, and also the feeling of that community viewing is missing, definitely. But with the more measurability, accessibility, and innovation coming into play, I think the television will be relevant, Karthik. I think likes of Samsung,
I have a point on this attention span thing, okay? Yeah. It's a myth, yeah. You know the average session time of a PUBG player, or any gamer for that matter, and the amount of time that someone binge watches, a series back to back to back, right? Or the amount of time you spend on listening to a playlist on Spotify. This attention span is a huge myth. I think they probably have bigger attention spans than we do, but I forgot the question.
That's okay, please continue. So I think it's about it's a derivative of the content which is driving actually, and the point which you are trying to prove out here is it's not about the concern of the attention span. It's the content which is getting. Yeah.
All I'm saying is that I don't think it's a generational thing. Like for example, my daughter loves watching ads because it's short, it's fun, and it ends quickly, and she can move on to the next one. Right? She's 5 years old. And I'm just saying it's not a generational thing, right? I think, if anything, my dad's attention span has come down, right? And not my daughter's. That's all I'm trying to say.
How about you, Amit?
So I think, I don't know, because, as a brand, Syska, I think I'm talking to somebody who is, say 35 plus, fundamentally, like a male category person. And then on the same side, I have a customer who's around, say, 18, 19, 20 max, because they are buying my grooming appliances or, smartwatches, etc. The difference is only one that, my LED customer is actually okay to sit and consume that content, which is my ad basically, and I talk about, hey, listen, how can you save money? Because उनको ना पैसे बचाने वाली बात समझ में आती है, because they are more into the family nuances, right? But same concept, if I go and tell this to the millennials and youngsters, they will laugh at me कि यार क्या बकवास है, हम तो पैसे खर्च करने वालों में से हैं. So I think there what we tell them is a different story on a different medium, and I think and if you look at it fundamentally, मेरे पास वहाँ पे कोई इरफान खान या राजकुमार राव वाली story भी नहीं होती है, because they don't want to connect with a celebrity as a brand ambassador. At least that is what we have observed. Because उनके लिए उनकी celebrity शायद हमारे में से कोई एक होता है who has done something amazing in life, and then they can relate with. So if they are not able to relate with what I'm talking about as a content, forget वो कुछ seconds या कुछ minute, they are gonna be like off the scene immediately. So I think I'm handling my certain categories which are talking to the younger audiences without a celebrity, तो पैसे बच जाते हैं. And then on the other side of the serious business, which is about LED, wires, fans, I'm investing monies in getting celebrities on board.
Great. What's the story with Blue Star?
So I agree with Karthik that I don't think, it's a marketer's role to create ads which are memorable, which are entertaining, because, consumers would otherwise, and we all would want to skip ads, right? So the first brief to the agency that we have is the ad has to be entertaining, it has to be quirky, and if you can integrate the brand messaging along with that, that's exactly what we need. So that's really important, going forward, for sure. And I'm not sure, of course, there'll be branded content, but again, like I said, we have to place it very, very intelligently. Ads are a little more easier to control because these are your ads in that sense. And with respect to the future of marketing in television, if you really look at stats, okay, we're talking of 220 million television households. Can you imagine 150 million of those are still CRTs? They're not even panels. They're not even smart TVs. They're CRTs.
True.
Okay, and the market right now, of course, balance 70 million, 35 million are just panels, and the balance 35 million are smart TVs. So we're looking at a huge changeover. Okay, so television is still 2/3 are CRTs. So we're talking, and for a brand like Blue Star, 60% of my sales comes from tier 3, 4 and 5 towns. Yeah, they're watching CRTs. So we're talking a huge change for everything to turn smart. Of course, smart is 80% of the market today, every year, but it's going to take ages to get there, right? So I think we shouldn't debate about future of TV for sure. It's there, very relevant for ages to be, I'm guessing.
Lovely. I'll just share my concluding remark because when back in the days when radio was launched, people were talking that theater band ho jayenge. Theater, by when I say theater, the theatrical drama things. And when television came into picture, people talk radio band ho jayega, koi nahi sunne wala radio. And today when OTT is there, people are talking cinema and television will go away. So I think that debate will continue to stay relevant, but I think both will coexist. Any concluding remark from Vivek and Karthik?
No, I think what you said is bang on. I started by saying content is more important than platform and wherever the consumer is, and I think that's how it will remain. People will consume television, people will consume OTT, people will consume social media, and wherever eyeballs is, content will be. Television will remain relevant, like what Girish was saying. We're still in the CRT stage. फिर panel है, फिर smart TV है, फिर OTT के subscription है, फिर एक bandwidth है. So, sometimes we get myopic in terms of what we consume is what everybody's market is consuming. I'm not saying it's unfair for me to say that OTT or digital is that approach, but there's a clear cut, far deeper beyond that, far consumer of India who's still watching TV on that CRT, who's still watching on that panel, who still goes 8 o'clock every morning and watches his favorite show. That consumer behavior will stay.
Great. Okay, time is up. We are bang on time. Any questions for us? I think we have answered everything. Thank you so much for the opportunity. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for coming here.
Fascinating session indeed, right? Can we please have the claps louder, please? Thank you. We have token of appreciations as well. May I please call upon stage Franklin Toscano to kindly come up on stage and do the honors.
Wave Beat Music.